All right, so welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Nedbank Business Watch. A lot of companies, organizations are still commemorating Cybercrime Awareness Month, raising awareness rather. And Nedbank is one of those companies. Today I'm joined by Spalele Makakula Shabango from Nedbank. We're continuing our conversation from last week, but today we're focusing on parenting in a digital world. A very good afternoon, Spa. Thank you for joining us once again. So we're focusing on parenting in a digital world. A lot of children nowadays have access to cell phones, tablets, laptops, computers, you name it. What does it mean being a parent in a digital world?
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for having me again. Basically, this means we understand that the digital world basically is platforms that enable one to store, create, retrieve, and transmit information, digital data, right? Mm-hmm. Those are cell phone, tablets, social media, right? But now, parenting in this era means that as a parent, I need to be responsible enough to understand that there are risks that come with this age, new age that we're in right now. Yeah. It's a good time that we're in. We have beautiful efficiencies, everything is good, everything is going smooth, but there are risks that come with that. I'll give an example. If you send your child to school, for instance, you understand that some days it's going to rain. So you give the child raincoat or umbrella, and sometimes you tell the child, don't use this route, there are dogs. You tell the child, don't speak to strangers or get into strangers' cars. It's basically the same principle in the digital world. You need to empower your child to understand that the surroundings they're in is not really a safe space. It comes with the risks, so they need to know and understand that.
Yeah, I mean, kids are exposed to cyberbullying, cyber stalking, and all of that. So how then can parents, protect their children from such?
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So I think the starting point is, firstly, as parents, we need to set down the rules of engagement in terms of the gadgets that we have. Our children need to know what is acceptable and what is not. Then secondly, we need to use the very same technology to protect our children. And then thirdly, we need to engage our children. And this is where most of us are guilty. We fail to do the engagement. If we do engage, it's aftermath. It's when something has happened.
Yes. Yeah, so there are a lot of crimes that happen online. Nowadays, children play online games, with strangers, even worse. So then, what are the risk factors? How can parents, protect their children from, being safe on these online games?
Thank you so much. Now, taking you back, let's go back to the rules that we set as parents in terms of guidelines that we set as parents on the behaviors online. My rules can be, you cannot play with a stranger. That can be a rule that I set as a parent, and I can ensure that my child adheres to that. If my child does not adhere to that rule, there should be consequences, or some sort of a loss of incentive in a way.
Okay.
So that should be clear. But before us having that engagement, now if I have this gadget and I'm now giving it to my child, I should be the one setting it up. I shouldn't give the gadget to the child and let the child set it up. No. I understand, yes, children are clever these days. I totally agree. But then I, as a parent, has the responsibility to set that gadget up. I have to have the parental control, set up the right profile that is age appropriate, that will have those restrictions, and filter the content that is coming through that is age appropriate.
Yeah. So those are the tips for parents. And the other parents that create they create accounts for their children. They have access to your online banking apps. They do transactions. What tips can you give to parents also, with regards to setting up and setting rules?
Thank you so much. The cardinal rule: you set up your profiles for your children. Yeah. You do not set up a gadget and use my profile as an adult, because if I do that, that is definitely going to content that is going to come through is not appropriate for my child. Remember, if I expose my child to content that is inappropriate, that content may actually get to the point of inciting certain behavior, to my child. even inciting harmful behavior for my child. Remember, there was a time where there was a trend. There was a trend and a challenge that was making rounds, where someone was licking toilets, public toilets. It was a trend, and kids were copying that. So we need to understand that when we set up our gadgets with the wrong profile, that has consequences. So now, when I set up my gadget now as a parent, and I share this with my child, also that has consequences. Oftentimes we'll give our children games, phones, to play games and all that. You understand that when you and I are on the phone, we are more aware of the surrounding and everything. And you, as a parent, obviously have the maturity to understand the risk. But a child doesn't have that maturity.
Yeah.
And if there's a pop-up that will come through, you will say, when it says block or allow, you will probably block. A child will allow. That will then lead you to being compromised as a parent. So now we've had situations where a client has been compromised, but the point of compromise is when the gadget was with the child, where the child was not aware what he or she was doing, then led to the parent being compromised, and then that is how things went. Secondly, other ways that our clients can be compromised through these gadgets and handing them over to the children or setting wrong profiles is that sometimes Spalele is saying, no, please make this payment. My child wants to buy something online. Mommy, ABCD, he's adding on the card, adding ABC.
Yeah.
And then, no, take my card, takes it out, I'm lazy. He just, takes my card number, enters all the information. At that point, when he's entering, the card payment information there, at that point, there's a pop-up, right?
Yeah, and unknowingly they click
Allow.
Yeah.
And that pop-up now has malicious way, which will then, have access to all the information that is there on that phone, including, the password, everything that is there. So it's very, very important that we set up the right profiles that are age appropriate. And then if we do share gadgets with our children, we do not let them use them for banking, or payments or shopping. We should do that. If a child wants to buy something, we should do that. Not the child buy it for themselves. No, we shouldn't do that.
Okay, so in such situations, are you able as Nedbank to assist, parents that have been compromised with their gadgets, their information being leaked or rather hacked? Are you able to assist them instantly?
What we can do for you as a client is that if such happens to you, call us, you notify us as soon as possible, you open a case with the police, and we try and trace the money. If the money has not been withdrawn, those funds can be secured. But if the funds have been withdrawn, from that beneficiary, then there's nothing that we can do. Then another way is that if maybe it was in online shopping, for instance, I think this we're going to discuss further in the coming sessions, then we can have chargebacks where we have the right, to reverse the transaction with the authorization of the merchant.
Okay. So is it advisable to change your passwords now and again, your children's passwords and your password as a parent?
Definitely, it's advisable to change your password regularly, but more than changing your password, have a strong password that has got characters, numbers, special characters and features. That's the best way.
All right. So if I suspect any fraudulent activities, on my gadget, on my online app, who do I contact at Nedbank Eswatini?
Just contact the help desk. You have our contacts. For help desk, it's 3278 1999, and our email is helpdesk at Eswatini.
Okay.
Sorry, I have it wrong. You're probably going to have it on...
yeah, definitely. And of course, they can interact with you guys on your social media pages.
Yes, certainly, and it's definitely there. But I think what is very, very important is that as a parent, you have to be constantly monitoring the activity of your child on all these platforms. Okay. You cannot, at any point, not know what is going on in your child's life in terms of social media or the digital world and what they're exposed to. When your child knows that they're being monitored, that in a way will be deterrent for them in terms of not, inappropriate behavior as well, and that will then protect them more than anything. And understanding that the landscape is different, and their risks are now being managed in that way. So it's really, really important that the monitoring is key. Besides setting up the right profiles, the monitoring is key, and having those ongoing conversations with our children on how important it is to to understand the risks that come with everything. And
definitely.
us as parents, we should be exemplary. I cannot be having live rants, on social media. I cannot be posting. For instance, if I post seductive pictures and everything, and I tell my child not to do that, you understand it's going to be difficult. So there's a lot that comes with parenting in the digital world. It then comes with us having to adjust certain things because we are parents.
Yeah, all right. No, we'll say thank you so much, Spalili, for that advice. That was Spalili Makakula Shabangu, giving parents tips on parenting in this digital era. Let's go for an ad break. We'll be right back.